everybody. Welcome to the world's greatest Bronze Age comic book podcast, Flea Market Fantasy. I'm your co-host, Mike L, and as always, I'm joined by...
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
That's right. And this week, surprise, it's your pick. Why don't you tell everybody what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, it is kind of a surprise, Mike L, because I'm picking a DC comic book.
That's right. What's the occasion?
Only the third one in the history of the show. I picked a All-Star Squadron. I picked a Justice League. And now I'm picking Black Lightning, issue 10 from 1978.
Right.
Because when I was a kid, Miguel, I loved Black Lightning.
Really?
Even though I don't think I ever had any of his actual comic books. But I think he would appear in, was he in Detective Comics every once in a while? Like Batman? Because I know I definitely had one of those with him on the cover with Batman.
I know that after his series got canceled, he appeared as a backup in something else. But I'm sure you came across that in your research, right?
No. I didn't really come across that. But he was definitely in some... I had a book with him, Batman, and like the front cover was split into thirds. And he was one of the thirds. I think he was on the right. But anyway, I definitely had that book when I was a kid, and I loved him. And I also, when I was a kid, I've told this story before many times, but there is a board game called, I looked it up, it was called Superman Match 2.
Really?
Came out in 1979. It was a red plastic board with 64 white plastic tiles arranged on the board. And you could make pairs. You had to match. There were two pairs. So, like, you flip over a white tile and say, oh, it's a picture of Batman. You had to find the other picture of Batman, you know? And if you missed, you flipped it back until you got a match, and then you took them off the board. Well, Black Lightning was part of that game, and I had an older sister, and we would play that game, and unless I got Black Lightning, I would be very upset.
Okay.
So it got to the point where before we would play the game, she would just give me the Black Lightning match. She says, all right, you got Black Lightning. But, so, yeah, I have a long history with Black Lightning. You know, a weird thing, Mike, when I looked up that game, you could, like, see all the different stickers on the tiles and everything, all the pictures. And I haven't seen that game in, like, you know, over 40 years. I still remember some of those images. Like, I was like, holy hell, I remember that. I remember that. I remember that.
Of course.
That's how important Black Lightning in Superman Match 2 were to my upbringing as a young child. So that's why I chose Black Lightning.
Understandable.
Yeah. And if you want to let me, I'd cry until you'd let me. Just like
well, I mean, I have my own history with Black Lightning. I'm sure you know about it, right?
You interviewed Tony Isabella, the creator of Black Lightning.
I interviewed Tony Isabella, and then I also invited him as a guest at one of our comic conventions with the G.I. Julie and I run.
That's right. And he showed up?
He actually showed up, yep.
Wow. Did he have a good time?
I think he did, yep.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Has he blocked you on Facebook yet?
Funny enough, he threatened to. I'm not kidding, okay?
For what?
Basically, I'll just have you know one thing about Tony Isabella. He is a little bit, what's the word, tempestuous?
Okay.
Okay. And so, if someone says something on his Facebook wall that he doesn't like, he will threaten to delete them, block them. And so one day I made the innocent mistake of saying something about, I think he posted something about a classic comic book artist or something. And I said something like, oh, you know, modern comics could, you know, learn something from this or something like that. And he's like, I don't want to see any negative posts about modern comic book art. Anyone that does that will be blocked or something like that. He basically threatened me. So I've refrained from posting since then.
Wow. Mike L, we need a whole other podcast just for your Facebook adventures.
Yes.
You have a lot of trouble there.
We sure do.
But yeah, Isabella wrote this book. He created Black Lightning. And the artist here is Trevor Von Eden. And we'll talk about him later. He's also like credited, I guess, in the creation of Black Lightning because he came up with the visual, but Tony Isabella created everything, basically. You know, right?
Well, here's a little something that I found out through my 3 interviews with him. He insists that he created Black Lightning by himself.
Yeah.
But Trevor Von Eden says that he co-created him because he designed the costume. And Tony Isabella refuses to acknowledge Trevor Von Eden's contributions.
No.
Yes. And
That's
so
pretty horrible.
I know. And so DC, I think they've relented and called Trevor Von. It's one of those created by Tony Isabella with Trevor Von Eden type things,
Yeah.
but that's only on paper. Like in public, Tony Isabella would not acknowledge it.
Yeah, all right. This is a whole Stanley Jack Kirby situation, right? Like who's
Kind
actually
of.
the creator of things. But if Trevor Von Eden created the costume and the signature look of Black Lightning, then he deserves a co-credit.
I 100% agree. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is that if you look back into the history of the character, DC had already had a character in mind called the Brown Bomber or the Black. I think it was the Brown Bomber. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the Black.
Was it
the
Black
Brown
Bomber or Brown Bomber?
They eventually did, I think, call it the Brown Bomber. I don't know. I have a note here somewhere about this, but go ahead, Micah, with your story.
And
yeah,
so
it was the
basically-
Black Bomber.
Yeah.
But then I think they later on they showed it in a modern writer had a cameo of the character as a joke, and they called him the Brown Bomber. I think, but the Brown Bomber was Joe Louis. That was his boxing nickname.
Okay.
But anyway.
Well, anyway, and so then Tony Isabella heard about this, or he was assigned to write it, and he hated the whole concept, and so he rewrote.
Well, do you know what the concept was?
I think he was. Wasn't he a white? Was he a white man that changed into a black man or something?
That's exactly right. He was a white racist who would turn into a black superhero under stress.
That's a little outrageous.
So thankfully, Tony Isabella said, "Hey, let's not do this." They had already written, I guess, 2 issues of it, and they had it ready to go. And he said, "No, let's not do this. Let's do something, less offensive."
Sure,
and he came up with Black Lightning. Yeah.
Well, and on top of all this, I've read the first volume of Black Lightning, numbers 1 to 10, and I still can't figure out where his powers come from. And I don't think Tony Isabella knows either. I don't know I think along the way it was his belt, then it was he was born with it, right?
Well, here's the thing. There were 11 issues in this first run of Black Lightning. Actually, there were 12, but it got canceled after 11 because of the DC implosion.
Okay.
So that issue 12 was published in Canceled Comic Cavalcade in World's Finest Comics 260. Remind the kids what the DC implosion was.
So what we call the DC implosion started out as the DC explosion. They were getting a little bit cocky, I guess, so they decided, we've got X number of successful comics, so we're going to double it. And we're going to add all these extra pages and blah, 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 blah. And they basically flooded the market with all these new comics. And after a few months, they were all tanking. And so they just, not only did they cancel those, but they overcompensated and canceled a whole bunch of other stuff. And so the joke in the media became the DC implosion.
Yeah, and Black Lightning was caught up in that, and it got canceled after 11 issues. And but you're talking about his powers. I think if you even read the letters page in this book that we're reviewing today, I think someone even comments on that, and the response was, "Yeah, we'll try and define his powers more clearly in the future." But of course, they never able to.
Yeah, of course.
But originally, the idea was he got his powers. And his name is Black Lightning, so you can kind of guess that he has like electrical. He can shoot lightning bolts, and he gets a force field of electrical, magnetism or whatever. Mm-hmm. But he got his powers from a power belt that he wore. And then later they retconned it so that he was a metahuman, which is basically DC's mutant, right?
Well, no, I think it's just DC's like superhuman. It'd be like Spider-Man is a superhuman, but in DC they're called a metahuman. But they're not.
I thought
mutants.
metahuman meant you were born with it.
Not as far as I know. Nope.
Oh,
I think almost all DC, like the Flash, would be a metahuman. Anyone who's been given powers is a metahuman.
See, look at that! You taught me something new, Michael. I thought their metahuman was like you were born with it, like that was their way of saying a mutant. But all right, I want to trust you on this because you're Mr. DC, and I can't stand DC. So
except for this Black Lightning comic, right?
Yeah, except for Black Lightning.
Right.
But he was DC's first African-American superhero with his own series.
Okay.
That's a key distinction, because there were other African-American superheroes, but he's the first one to get his own series. So, and the character's name is Jefferson Pierce, and his first appearance was Black Lightning #1, 1977. And he was a former Olympic decathlete. He won the gold medal apparently 2 times in a row.
Wow.
This Jefferson Pierce. I had no idea that was true. I learned that when I was researching. Like in this comic book, he makes a reference that he won the Olympic gold medal in the I'm like, wait, what? When did this happen? I had no idea he was an Olympic decathlete. But so he returns home to be a school teacher in the suicide slum area of Metropolis. Once again, with the names of these DC towns.
You think it's a little too on the nose?
A little bit. So, what can we do for Hell's Kitchen? Let's call it Suicide Slum. Yeah, that'd be great. He got his electric powers from a technologically. Why can I speak? Technologically. Why can't I say that word?
Technologically.
Technologically. Thank you.
Yeah.
Technologically advanced power belt. Later, his origin was retconned, making him a metahuman. And the villain in this issue is the Trickster. And is he the dumbest villain ever?
No, he's great.
All right. His real name is James Jesse.
Another clever play on words.
Exactly. What are they doing?
Come on.
His first appearance, Flash 113, 1960, created by John Broome and Carmine Infantino. And the Trickster, he's just a prankster, you know? Mm-hmm. He's a prankster. That's all he is.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
And he's got, like, flying boots. He can fly with his boots. So there you go, the Trickster. And let's see, Tony Isabella wrote the first 10 issues of this here series, and then Dennis O'Neil wrote issue 11. And I guess he would have wrote issue 12, but he got canceled.
Right.
Trevor Von Eden, real quick, he drew all 11 issues.
Really?
Yeah, we'll talk more about him after we're done here.
Okay.
But now, Michael, I just picked this issue completely at random, all right?
Okay.
But it actually has a fascinating backstory.
Interesting. Like to hear it.
I'm not going to tell it to you now.
Oh.
I'm going to see if you can piece it together, because there are clues throughout this book that you could figure out the mystery of why this book is significant.
Significant in general or significant to you?
In general.
Okay.
Like it's not. It's like it has an interesting backstory, significant in that it's cool, like a hidden history. Put it that way.
Okay.
All right. It's not like you can buy this as a collector's item. Oh, well, that's that issue. That no one's going to do that. But it has a cool back history to it. All
Does
right?
it have something to do with Black Vulcan?
It does. It very much does. So we'll talk about that as we get through the book. But all right, so let's look at the cover here, Michael.
So here we go. We got our cover here. Black Lightning, number 10. We got a really funky logo. It's funny. I never really noticed, but the black part of the Black Lightning logo, it's kind of like Superman's font, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a three-dimensional block thing, like it's coming off the page, and then the lightning is just flat.
Right. Which technically it's not a very good design, right? Because it doesn't really.
No, I don't like that at all.
Doesn't really go together.
And here's an idea: the name's Black Lightning. Maybe make the letters black.
Good idea. You're right. Yeah, because most logos are sort of white with black, like a stroke or a 3D, whatever it's called. Yeah. But you could do the opposite, yeah, and make like the main part of the letters black and make everything else white or something else, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, not a fan of the title. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we got Black Lightning here on the cover, and then there's a little caption that says, "Is this the Trickster's deadliest scheme, or is this?" So at the top, we see the Trickster, and he's kind of like running through the air, and he's shooting like a purple, kind of like liquid down at Black Lightning. And Black Lightning is kind of struggling, to get out of it. And then behind him, the arrow is pointing at the other Black Lightning, who's running towards the real Black Lightning. And are we going to talk about his costume? Both of their costumes?
Yes.
Okay, so the real Black Lightning, he's got a pretty cool costume, I must say.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I loved him as a kid.
Right. So he's got white boots and white cuffs, and then a blackish blue outfit. But he also has a huge open chest and a butterfly collar that's white that matches his cuffs. And he also has a white mask over his face. Then he has actual Black Lightning that goes around the outline of his open chest and then goes kind of like over his shoulders and under his arms and touches like his cuffs. Then he has another kind of like doubled up layer of yellow to kind of accentuate that black outline of the lightning, right? It's a very cool design.
Yeah, he's got like a yellow belt and a black belt too.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great, and he's got like a noticeable large afro as well.
Very. Yep.
Now that's a key detail because we'll talk about that a little later.
Okay.
Because
And then okay, and the other Black Lightning is he's wearing kind of it's red and yellow, and it's kind of a more, well, it's similar. I mean, it's got a similar design, except it's mostly red with yellow trim. He also has like an open butterfly collar, and his mask is red, and then he has a shield. It's almost like Captain America's shield, but it's red and yellow, and it has a big B in the middle, and then on his chest it says BL.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I don't get this. Like, the gimmick here is that a circus has hired someone to be Black Lightning to like protect it's a very stupid backstory. But so the idea is there's another Black Lightning. Why not have him look exactly like the real Black Lightning? I don't understand.
You're right.
It makes no sense for me. I don't know. It really undermines the story. But yeah, they're like you can tell they're like in a circus environment. Because there's a crowd watching them, and there's a big pole with like a platform on top of it. You can kind of tell it's a circus tent that they're in.
Right.
And but Black Lightning is getting slogged with all this purple goop, and he's getting stuck to the ground. So
and we should point out it's drawn by Rich Buckler and inked by Vince Colletta. Yep.
Yeah, he drew. I don't know if he drew all the covers, but he drew definitely a lot of the Black Lightning covers. But he drew the first one, which is kind of an iconic cover, that first issue. Black Lightning punching people.
Right.
But, all right, so now we go inside the book here, Michael, and again, we get the annoying cover within a cover.
The second cover.
I still don't get why they did this. It's terrible.
I don't know. But... A little preview. The other Black Lightning, and we see basically introductions to the characters in the story, which is what's his name? The Trickster, and then what's the woman's name here? Did they say her name?
Barbara Hannah.
Oh, I wonder what that's supposed to be.
Yeah, can you put the pieces together?
Yeah. And so basically, we just get a scene out of the story where the Trickster is scaring an elephant into stampeding over Black Lightning, and Black Lightning and the other Black Lightning are caught in all this goop, and that's pretty much it. And I would also like to point out that this is written by Tony Isabella with art by Trevor Von Eden and Vince Colletta, coloring by Carl Gafford, and lettering by Ben Oda.
Ben Oda. Yeah.
Yep. You remember Ben Oda, right?
Yeah, big Ben Oda fan.
Okay. So we start off with a jetliner flying out of Central City. And they're talking. So I guess these are two cops, right, that have arrested the Trickster.
Yes.
And they're waiting for the Trickster to go to the bathroom, and they're talking about how, about what just happened in their last adventure. And then we get a little note at the bottom that says, "See Flash number 256 and Secret Society of Supervillains number 10. Now, I'm assuming you went back and read those, right, Mike Dell?
No, I did not. But it's kind of it's always jarring when the first two of the first three panels you get editor notes.
I know. I hate it too. Yeah. And then basically they're knocking on the door and they realize, oh no, he's not in there. It's empty. So then they burst through the door and they see a little doll on the floor in front of the toilet. What does that say? Can you read that?
So long, suckers.
Suckers. Okay. And then, so then the stewardess comes back and is like, "Officers, the pilot thinks you should come to the cockpit right now. He says it's urgent." So then they look out the window and they see the Trickster running through the air away from them. And they're like, how did he get off the plane, A, and how is he running through the air? But that's not really the Trickster. It's actually a double, right? A projected image of the Trickster running through the air. The real Trickster is using a parachute to descend to the ground, right? And then he flashes back and explains that he also used a double inside the bathroom, right?
Well, he used here's another editor's note here. Mirror Master. He used some technology from Mirror Master. That's another Flash villain.
Right, yes.
To make him look like he was invisible in the bathroom. It was just a dummy on the ground, but actually he was in there. And then he used the projection to cause a distraction. So they ran to go look at that. And while they were doing that, the invisible Trickster then put on a parachute and jumped out the back of the airplane.
Right. Right. So then he's so accurate with his parachuting that
This
he
is
lands a few yards away from his spare equipment and costume. Isn't that great?
Where he had hidden his spare costume here, and luckily
Yep.
he parachuted right next to it.
Yep.
So
Great.
describe his costume because we skipped that.
Sure.
It's
So
definitely
yeah,
unique.
it's a lot of stripes. So basically, he has little pixie boots, and then he has
Yeah, they're purple pixie boots.
Well, they look blue here, like dark blue, but whatever. But anyway, he's got black and orange striped pants, and then yellow and black striped underwear, and then kind of orange and purple striped shirt, I guess.
Yeah.
They kind of change. And then he's got a cape with a big collar, like a flared collar. And then he's got
the
a
cape
domino
is
mask.
black on the outside and orange on the interior.
Right.
So.
And then he's got a domino mask, and it's a very, even the narration says it's a gaudy Harlequin's costume. It's very gaudy.
It's very, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's the old Trickster. He gives us his backstory, how he was raised in the circus. His family, he was doing high wire acts as a kid. And then he invented like jet boots that could help him walk across the air and fly. And then he became a villain, and he fought the Flash with a pea shooter. Apparently.
Right. Apparently, yeah.
Again, Mike, how does the Flash ever lose a fight to anyone ever? Because all he has to do is like within a blink of an eye, he can run over and punch you. So like, how does anyone ever not?
I think they kind of skirt the rules when they're writing Flash stories, you know.
So he sees an ad in the paper for the Buscema. Oh, is that a John Buscema joke?
Oh, maybe it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Buscema
the Buscema Brothers Circus. Yeah, I'm guessing Buscema Brothers, Sal and John. They're making a little joke there. Mm-hmm. So there's a circus in town, and they have a giant elephant there. And so Trickster says, "Hey, this is how I can make a living while I'm out here, getting ready to take on the Flash again. I can make some bucks over at the circus." That's what he does.
So then, so he's like, "Okay, well, here I go." So he floats through the air again. And then we cut over to Jefferson Pierce, who's Black Lightning's secret identity, and he's talking to his wife. And she is...
Is it his wife?
Or maybe girlfriend.
Yeah, I think it's just his girlfriend. Like, she works at the school with him.
Okay, you're right. So she is showing him a newspaper that is advertising Black Lightning appearing at the Buscema Brothers Circus. And he's like, what the heck? So she's like, well, maybe the real Black Lightning ought to check this thing out. And then we find out that it was only one issue ago that she learned that Jefferson Pierce is Black Lightning, right?
4 editor notes in 3 pages.
So then he's like, okay, well, yeah, I'll go then. So then later that evening in his suicide slum apartment, the schoolteacher dons a familiar costume. And so we see him. It's funny because he's sitting in a chair, but he's got his Black Lightning costume on, so it's almost like he just sat down and put his pants on. It's kind of funny. And then in the next page, we see that he he's putting on a mask, but the afro is part of the mask.
Yes, that's what I wanted to point out, because that's pretty cool in a way. Because remember last week you were talking about the Question, how when he was the Question, he still had the same haircut and everything. Right. So this way, his costume hides his normal hair. So, yeah.
It's smart. More superheroes should do that. Like Dick Grayson Robin. He's got the exact same hair, right?
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
So I thought this was a nice little detail. But I guess we should say, I guess Black Lightning was a little controversial now because he did have the big accentuated afro and he talked in jive a lot when he's Black Lightning.
Okay.
So it upset some people. But he called people jive turkey and stuff like that. But again, Jefferson Pierce is a very smart fella and he's a teacher. So he did that on purpose to put more distance between him and Black Lightning.
Right.
So anyone who saw Black Lightning with the big afro and the jive turkey stuff, well, that's not Jefferson Pierce, academic scholar.
Right.
Well,
I think it's a pretty clever disguise, but what do I know?
Yeah.
So anyway, he dons his Black Lightning costume, and he's going to go see what's going on here with the circus. Then we cut over to an interlude at an ancient church in Suicide Squad, right? At the Metropolis.
Suicide Slum.
Or Suicide Slum. It's in, pardon me, it's at the Metropolis waterfront. And then we see a guy looking out a window, and then he's like, he comes, the master comes. I don't know if that's the right accent, but, and we don't see what it is just yet, right? It's a mystery.
Yeah, it's just 2 panels. We see something coming out of the water, and that's it.
Right. So then we cut over to the circus. We see the people who are running the circus, right?
Well, the one guy's running the circus.
Okay.
And he's one of them Buscema brothers. And the lady is Barbara Hanna, who runs a detective agency.
Right.
And she's been hired to protect a giant diamond that for some reason the circus is displaying on a nightly basis.
Right. Which in real life, this would be bigger than any diamond on Earth. It's like the size of a basketball, yeah.
And for some reason, it's at a circus. I don't get it.
Right. How would they get this diamond? Yeah. And so anyway, so they're talking about the diamond, and then she brings up the Black Lightning. She's like, blah blah blah. She's like, you hired the Barbara Hanna detective agency to do your work for you. Who would be foolish enough to try stealing a gem being guarded by Black Lightning? And then we see the other Black Lightning that we talked about earlier. And he kind of just walks in, and then that guy ends up leaving. So now it's just her and him. And he basically explains that he's just an out-of-work footballer. And he knows that he's not the real Black Lightning, right?
Yes.
But she convinces him that he's actually hired by the real Black Lightning. She says Black Lightning himself picked you for the job after watching you in your last game. And then he's like, yeah, but I tackled my own team's quarterback. And she's like, so you made a little mistake. Black Lightning liked your spirit.
Now, Michael, you know that that's bad in football.
I know.
Right?
I don't know much about football, but I know that that's bad. Yes.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yep. So then anyway, so he's like, okay, whatever you say. And then she's like, how could any man be so dumb? So anyway, so then she's like, basically her plan is that she's going to steal the Rocco Diamond, right?
Yes.
Right. So then we cut over to the circus, like the next day or whatever. Oh no, it's just meanwhile, it's at the same time. So we see everybody setting up for the circus. And sure enough, the real Black Lightning is in the audience watching. And now, what's his name? The Trickster is part of the circus. So he's performing on a, what's it called? What's that called?
Trapeze?
Trapeze, yeah. And so he's swinging around. And it's funny because I got to give him credit because he says, hey, these people paid money for a good show. I'm going to give them a good show. I'm going to give them their money's worth, right? Yeah. So then he's like swinging through the air. And then the audience is, and then it looks like he's falling. And the audience is like, oh my God, that aerialist, he's falling. Nothing can save him. But then all of a sudden he just appears, right? So obviously he must have been using one of his illusion things or something.
No, his boots. His flying
boots.
He kicked in the jets on his flying boots.
Right. So then, and then he's like, okay, well, now I'm going to collect my fee. So then he snatches the gigantic basketball-sized diamond away from the, whatever his name is, the boss. What's the guy called?
Buscema.
Oh yeah, the Buscema brother. And so then he's running away with the diamond, but then all of a sudden he gets tackled. Well, not really tackled, but kind of like body checked from behind by the real Black Lightning.
Yep.
And so he knocks him over, and then what's his name? The Trickster uses that old trick where he has a rubber chicken with him that's filled with gas, and he hits Black Diamond in the face with it.
That old trick.
That old chestnut. So then he's running away, but then Black Lightning grabs him by the ankle and swings him around and smashes him against a wooden pole. That looks painful.
I know, he'd be dead.
Yeah. It's like wham. So then so now everyone wants the diamond. So then the diamond falls, and then one of the Buscema brothers comes and tries to grab it. Black Lightning sees him, and then he tries to step in, but then the fake Black Lightning punches the real Black Lightning in the face, right?
Yeah, this is confusing because later on, this Black Lightning clearly is a fan of the real Black Lightning.
Right.
Yeah, for somehow he doesn't recognize him here, and he punches him in the face.
Right. It's kind of weird. So then the Trickster grabs the diamond, and he's running away. Then we cut over to Miss Hannah, and she's kind of like watching. And she's like, go get him, boys. Nobody gets that rock but us. So she's got her like I guess I don't know what they are. They're like hired muscle. They look like cops, right?
Yeah.
And she's sending them after to get the diamond. But then we cut back over to another interlude, right? And we see this church again. And we see a guy say, "The time has come, my children." And then at the bottom it says 6 words. And with those 6 words, the fate of an entire city has perhaps been sealed. So I don't think we're going to find out what happens with that storyline until next issue, right? But
how do you feel about those interludes? Because again, this is just one panel. Like, wouldn't it have been better just to put all these panels like on the last page?
It's funny because we're having that same problem with Jerry Conway's Spider-Man run, and he does this a lot. Well, he'll have like multiple interludes, like 3 of them. And yeah, they are kind of intrusive. They'd probably work better as just like a little, almost like a post-credit sequence, right?
Yes.
To set up the next issue, yeah.
Because it just disrupts the flow and the fight and everything. Because now we cut back to Black Lightning, and he's punching the fake Black Lightning.
Right.
And sending him crashing into the security guards.
Right. It is kind of awkward, yeah. So now we have, so he's punching him, like you said, he's like knocking over all these guards. Then we see the Trickster running away, but he uses another old trick, and that's shooting the real Black Lightning with a quick hardening powder. And and this is where we get the splash page from. So now all of a sudden...
And the cover. I always like when the cover is actually depicted in the book.
Of course, me too.
I'm a big fan of that.
Me too.
So I like this. So
now Black Lightning is kind of like stuck in this goop, and he's trying to get out of it, right?
Although on the cover the goop is purple, right? But in the book it's green.
Right. And then the Trickster uses another trick that's also depicted in the cover, where he scares the splash page, where he scares this elephant with firecrackers to make the elephant run towards the real Black Lightning. And Black Lightning is going to be crushed, but he does point out that he does have a force field that will protect him, but even if it does, the elephant's still going to run over him, which will probably kill him, right? So then seeing all this happening before him, the fake Black Lightning decides to intervene, and so he runs towards the elephant and tries to knock it out of the way. And it does manage to knock him out of the way, but now the fake Black Lightning is hurt, and he's down for the count, right?
Yeah, because he's a normal man who charges and jumps into a rampaging elephant.
Right.
That's not going to end well. You know?
Right.
But it's enough to divert the rampaging elephant a few inches.
Right.
And he avoids Black Lightning.
And then we see the Trickster running away in the air, right? The last panel there. Then the real Black Lightning grabs the fake Black Lightning's shield and throws it like Captain America, and it hits the Trickster, and the Trickster drops the diamond. Then Miss Hannah catches it, but then the cops are there. Inspector Henderson from the Superman TV show is there to arrest her. I bet you didn't know that, Mike Dell.
Did not know that.
Yep, that's who he is. So then one of the Buscemi brothers is like, "Dummy, you're a rich supervillain. Why didn't you just buy this crummy circus? I would have given it for peanuts just to be rid of that Fakakta
diamond.
Fakakta diamond."
Term.
And then he's like, "Moan." So then the real Black Lightning comes over and helps up the fake Black Lightning, and the fake Black Lightning is all down on himself, but then the real Black Lightning gives him like a pep talk, right?
Yep.
And he's like, "You showed a lot of great courage out there tonight. I bet if you apply that same courage to making something of yourself, there wouldn't be anything you couldn't do." "You really think so, mister? I know so. Come on, let's talk about it over a couple of enormous steaks." And then they just walk out. And then we cut over to the ancient church that we've been following for these subplots. And then we kind of zoom into this picture. And it says here, "And if the ancient church is empty now, the acolytes have drifted into the night to perform their master's bidding. And if we cannot know what that bidding be, we can take some small comfort in the fact that all will be revealed in a forthcoming issue."
And there's panels. There's 3 panels. And it gets closer to a photo each panel, and the final panel shows a picture of Black Lightning's girlfriend.
Right.
And
so now we know something's up for her. But next issue, unfortunately, this was Tony Isabella's last issue.
Yep.
And then it was canceled. So I don't know whatever came with the storyline. I don't know if it was ever resolved.
Well, there's one more issue after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if anything happened with this storyline. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But again, even like if you look at this last page, we have those bottom 3 panels, and then you go to the previous interlude. That was one long panel, the span of the page, and then the previous interlude was 2 panels at the top. So, do you think they decided to cut that one page at the end into thirds and then spread it throughout the issue, or
Oh, I don't think so. I think they just did it
just
that
seems
way.
weird, man. Just
Yeah,
seems weird.
I think it was pretty common for certain writers, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
All right.
But there it is, Black Lightning, issue 10. So, Mike, I guess that lady's called Barbara Hanna, but Barbara, the way it's spelled. Barbara Hanna. And so that's obviously Hanna-Barbera.
Right.
And Hanna-Barbera created the Super Friends, the big famous TV show back in the 1970s. And that show that everyone loves, it came out in 1973, and it got canceled after one season. And then they just kept replaying that one season over and over, and it proved popular, I guess, from the reruns. So they said, hey, let's bring that back. So then in like 1977, at the same time as Black Lightning, they brought it back, and now it had the Wonder Twins and Gleek in it. Remember that?
Yes.
That team. And they also brought in different superheroes, and they wanted to have Black Lightning on the show because they'd be like, oh, this is great, have Black Lightning. And Tony Isabella said, hey, well, if you put Black Lightning in there, you got to pay me. And DC said, all right, well, you know what? Hanna-Barbera, you have to pay him if you use Black Lightning. We're not going to pay him. And Hanna-Barbera said, hey, we're not going to pay him. So they just created Black Vulcan.
Right. Kind of underhanded, eh?
Yeah. When I was a kid, I always wondered, who the fuck is Black Vulcan? And why isn't Black Lightning in this goddamn cartoon?
Right,
and all these years later, I finally find out that no one wanted to pay Tony Isabella.
Right.
And he said, so this issue is Tony Isabella's response. He's kind of making fun of Hanna-Barbera, and the fake Black Lightning is Black Vulcan.
Right.
So yeah, that's a pretty good little backstory.
I think it's pretty interesting. Yeah, absolutely.
But the problem I have with the story, as I mentioned earlier, why? I guess he didn't want to have two Black Lightning because he's trying to show that the second Black Lightning is bogus and he has a different costume and everything. But for the purposes of this story, he should have the Black Lightning costume. You know, he shouldn't be in a red and yellow costume with a Captain America shield. It's stupid.
Right.
No one's going to believe that's Black Lightning. You know what I mean?
Or make it subtly different. Yeah.
No fucking sense. Or make him look like Black Vulcan. They'd really dig it, you know?
That's what I was going to say. Make him look like Black Vulcan. Maybe even maybe change the colors if they didn't have the rights. But you're right. Make it an obvious reference to Black Vulcan.
Yeah, so that's pretty terrible. I didn't like the interludes. What else, Mike, about the writing here? We've mentioned Tony Isabella before in the show. What issue did he do? Shit.
Did he do? Oh, was it Champions?
No, possibly. But he did Shadow War of Hawkman, I think.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Wait, I've got it here. He did Shadow War of Hawkman. Oh, I think that's it.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought he did Champions, but I guess not.
So yeah, so we went into his backstory there. Go watch or listen to that episode. You can find out more about Tony Isabella. But I don't know. I wasn't crazy about the writing here, Mike. I'll be honest. Not a big fan.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Yeah, I agree.
Even the whole premise of the diamond, like the Buscema brothers, for some reason, some Middle Eastern sheik or something gave them this giant diamond to display at their circus. They didn't want to do it. They felt obligated to do it. So they were all nervous about always displaying this diamond. So the one Buscema brother went nuts and was in an insane asylum because he was so nervous about showing it. And the other Buscema brother didn't want to do it, but he kept trying to do it. And then the Trickster's there to steal it. And it's like, well, I don't know. None of it made any fucking sense. But it's pretty awesome, though. It's like crazy stupid, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
Black Lightning got hit with a rubber chicken full of gas.
Right.
There's a rampaging elephant that was somehow blocked aside by a normal human man.
It's definitely entertaining. Yeah, I'll admit that for sure.
Well, yeah, not the best. Not the best.
No.
You can see why this was canceled after 11 issues.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Yeah.
And again, Black Lightning, what superpowers did he display here in this book?
Oh my God, nothing, did he?
Nothing, yeah. Nothing at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he swung the Trickster around by his ankle. He punched the fake Black Lightning. And then he turned on a force field while he was stuck in goop.
Right.
But that was it. So I can understand how people had no idea what his powers were, how he used them.
Very ill-defined.
All right, so the art here is by Trevor Von Eden, and he was born in 1959 in Guyana.
Really?
He moved to New York when he was 11. His career started when he was just 16, Michael.
Wow.
DC Comics editor Jack C. Harris hired him to illustrate prototype assignments with the Legion of Superheroes and Weird War Tales. What would that mean, prototype assignments? Like just like promotional drawings and shit? Or
Maybe, or it could be like do like an inventory story or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, prototype assignments, but that's what was on Wikipedia. 1977, he started on Black Lightning. He was just 18 years old.
Incredible.
So yeah, he was like 19 when he drew this issue.
Wow.
That's insane. Because he drew all 11 issues. Also in 1977, he started drawing the Green Arrow backup stories in World's Finest Comics.
Really?
I'm sure you read all those.
Not exactly, but yeah.
In 1979, he moved over to Marvel and he drew Power Man and Iron Fist, issues 56 through 59, and Spider-Woman, issues 23 and 24, but then Jim Shooter fired him for not drawing enough like Jack Kirby.
Really?
I guess when he was hired, he told, hey, Trevor, we need you to draw like Jack Kirby, you know? And Trevor says, all right. And then he wasn't doing it. And I didn't go back and look at those issues to see how he was drawing. But
right.
Jim Shooter saw enough, and he's like, all right, you're out. You're not doing what we want.
Harsh.
So, yeah. So he returned to DC, and he drew some Green Arrow again. And then he drew Batman Annual 8 in 1982. And he says this is the book he's most proud of.
I think,
Batman.
Is that the one? That's the one with Hugo Strange, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that's where Bruce Wayne loses his fortune.
Flipped through the pages.
It's really good.
Batman. I don't know about that. But,
all right.
But I did seem to like that guy looks familiar. I saw him. I was like, oh, that guy looks familiar. So yeah, it might be Hugo Strange. But the gimmick was something to do with the sun, and he was like in a sun's outfit or a sun cult or something, and nothing.
Maybe it's a different one. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe that is different because maybe I'm thinking of a different guy instead of Hugo. What does that Hugo guy look like?
He's bald and he has big glasses and like a.
No, that's not him. He wasn't in this. You know who it looked like? Ra's al Ghul. That guy. Whoever that guy.
Really? Which annual was this?
Annual 8, 1982.
Batman Annual 8.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. Okay, yeah, I think I read this one, or I used to own it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he says that's the favorite book he ever did.
Really?
During the same time, he and Jack C. Harris pitched an all-female superhero team called Power Squad, but DC said no.
Whoa, really?
That would have been the first all-female team in comics history, probably.
Huh.
Look at that. In 1983, he co-created the Thriller series and drew the first 8 issues. I had never heard of this. It is not a Michael Jackson comic.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Thriller? It's a DC book.
I don't think so. No.
I looked at an issue or two. Apparently, it's like a spy kind of situation, but the lady who leads the team she has powers and she can embody any inanimate object or something. So I don't. It seems really weird. But maybe we'll do a Thriller issue at some point.
Maybe. I hope so.
Hey, Frank Miller asked Trevor Von Eden to draw Batman Year 1, but Trevor turned him down. Get
out of town, really?
Yeah. Trevor said, no thanks. Why would I want to do that iconic book? No thanks.
Exactly.
In 1991-92, he drew all 4 issues of the Black Canary limited series. And then he did 10 of the first 11 issues of the regular Black Canary series in 1992-93. But he said he had little interest in that character.
Really?
Yeah, he said he just did it for the money. He didn't give a damn about the character.
I think I remember that one.
In 2007, he started writing and drawing the original Johnson, a 242-page graphic novel depicting the life of boxer Jack Johnson.
Never heard of him. Have you?
Oh, yeah, the boxer Jack Johnson. He's one of the first black heavyweight champion, Jack Johnson.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But that title, the original Johnson, it almost sounds like a porn parody. Or something.
Right, exactly.
But 242 pages, that's quite the effort there.
Right.
Jack Johnson. So, but he says he's also very proud of that work. And do you know anything else about Trevor Von Eden, Michael?
I believe he also drew the first story that featured the drug called Venom that would eventually lead to the creation of Bane.
Oh.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
And I think I also read that he worked many years with Neil Adams. Like, doesn't Neil Adams have a studio or something with artists? working there?
Yeah. He well, I don't know what it was called, but I know he had his own company called Continuity Comics, so it might have been connected to that. I'm not sure.
So I think I think I read he worked there from like when he started all the way into like the late '90s or something. So he worked for a long
Cool.
time there. But yeah, so Trevor Von Eden. I like the art here actually.
Yeah, the art's pretty good. Yeah.
And to think he's only 18, 19 when he's doing this is like, holy hell, this is very good. You know.
And also
like,
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it's definitely you can tell like in the action sequence it's definitely not enough Kirby-esque. You know, like it's definitely not. It's a little flat in some panels. Like you don't get that dynamic composition that Marvel would prefer, but it's still very well drawn, and I actually liked it a lot.
Yeah, the storytelling is fine. Yeah. It's very clear. Also, I mean, people crap on Vince Colletta, but I think his inks give it kind of like a classic feel, so I like the inks.
Yeah.
You know?
Vince Colletta. Why do people crap on Vince Colletta?
Well, on top of not liking his style, what they've sort of proven over time is that
the Jack Kirby situation where he would take things out.
Yeah, Kirby would give him pages and he would just erase entire backgrounds, basically.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if that was the same guy.
Yeah,
but yeah. He would edit Jack Kirby.
Right.
Right,
exactly.
So, all right, Black Lightning issue 10. What do you think, Michael?
Ooh. I guess I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It's entertaining.
Yeah, it's very fun, like in terms of a bad comic book. So in that sense, I'd give it a 6 out of 10 because I enjoyed reading it because it was just crazy with the rubber chicken and Trickster and everything and the charging elephant and all that. But it could have been way better. Like I don't understand some of the choices Isabella was making here.
Right.
But on a scale of bad movies, bad comic books, yeah, it's a 6.
Okay.
On a scale of like good comic books, yeah, it's like a 2. But bad comic books, you'll have fun reading it, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely entertaining enough to read and reread for sure.
Now, Black Lightning, he's had other series since then, right?
Oh, many, yes.
Does he have an ongoing series right now?
No, I think he had one in the 90s, he had another one in the 2000s, then he had one called Cold Dead Hands that was written by Tony Isabella, and I think it was kind of a rebooted origin, but then I think that got canceled, and I don't think there's one exists right now, but I think he might be on a team or something. Like
Michael, after this series got canceled, he popped up. He was in the Justice League once or twice, and I guess they asked him to join, and he said no.
Right.
Do you know why he said no?
Well, no, I don't remember.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember. No.
And then he joined up with the Outsiders. Batman had a team called the Outsiders.
And we read that. Remember? Number 1.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. Back in here, let me find it. Wait.
All right, I think I remember. Wasn't that like the family of robots? They were going to the nuclear power plant?
Yes, the nuclear family. That was Flea Market Fantasy number 110. The Outsiders.
Was Black Lightning in that?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, I don't even remember. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Black Lightning. So, what was I going to say? Oh, he also has the TV show. Is that still on?
I don't know. I used to watch it, but I kind of lost interest. It was okay.
It's on like what, the WB with like Green Arrow and all them deals?
Yes. It's so weird though because you know how Marvel in Marvel everything is in one universe, right?
Yeah.
Well, with DC, not only do they have, the Flash TV show and the Flash movie and like they have Gotham, but then they also have Ben Affleck Batman. They have shows on the CW that don't even exist in the same continuity. And so Supergirl is not in the same universe as Flash and Green Arrow. And Black Lightning is, and neither is Black Lightning. No, the only time
I think I said WB, but CW.
Yeah, CW. So when they do crossovers, they have to explain it by having them visit like an alternate dimension or alternate Earth or whatever it's called.
That is so dumb.
Right. You're absolutely right. It's dumb. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you have to have a shared universe, but if you're going to be DC Comics and you're going to do superheroes, you might as well have a shared universe, right?
Yeah, it's really stupid not to. Yeah, I don't understand that at all. But anyway, I remember I went back, when it first came out, I watched episode 1, and I liked it well enough. I thought, this is not bad. And then, but then I saw his costume.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm out. That costume they had.
It was bad. Oh, yeah,
so
like
terrible.
The weird, like, plastic kind of jacket, like, armor thing. Yeah, it was
it looked
garbage.
like puffy, like, I don't know, like a puffy something or other. I was like, I'm out. I'm not watching
Yeah, it was terrible.
So,
I agree.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's a shame. Maybe I'll go back and watch more. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere, right?
Yeah. I'm sure it is. It's on Crave or something.
Crave. Right. So, Black Lightning, issue 10, 1978. There you go. Go enjoy your Black Lightning.
All right.
All right, Michael. Next week.
Well, before we get to next week, there's something I was going to mention at the beginning of the episode. Actually, 5 episodes ago, but I keep forgetting. We actually got a comment on Facebook.
What?
Yes. I went through the trouble of posting our Kickers Incorporated review onto
Again with the
Marvel...
Kickers Incorporated.
Yes.
Because it's always the New Universe books we get comments on, right?
True, yes. So
Yeah.
I posted this to the Marvel Comics New Universe fans page, and someone, none other than Mike Rockwitz...
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know who he is, but he's not credited on the book, but he worked for Marvel at the time. I know that. And this is what he said. They, meaning Mike L. and Mike Dell, they spent more time in the production of the review than we spent getting this epic out the door. Isn't that
That's
great?
pretty great. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Mike. We
There you
appreciate that. So, Mike L., I think what this tells us is we really should be a New Universe podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Because
It won't last long, but
no one gives a damn about anything else we do. But every time we do a New Universe book, there's at least one comment.
it's true. So weird. Well,
that's
there's a few more series to cover, so
Yeah,
there's more comments
DP7,
coming our
right?
way.
We got to do a DP7.
yes, we got to do what? Night Mask,
Yep, Night Mask.
Merc. Did
Merc?
we do Merc?
No, we haven't done Merc.
Justice.
Sure. Justice.
Yeah, I think there's 8. So
Well,
think we've
I
only
think
done
there were
3.
more than that, right? Weren't there like...
I think
Well-
there was only 8, and then later there was like spin-offs like The Pit and stuff like that.
yeah, like they added a couple. But
Right.
yeah, I think 8 originally. Yeah, maybe.
Right.
But all right.
Okay.
Yeah, DP7 has to be coming up, Mike.
Oh
Go ahead
yeah,
and pick it
it's
right now. Go ahead and pick it.
It's on the agenda. No. Next week is special because we've got a returning guest.
Oh,
Cousin Brandon's coming back.
what? You
Yep.
booked Cousin Brandon?
That's right. And I let Cousin Brandon pick whatever comic book he wanted. I had no influence. I didn't suggest anything. I didn't influence him. I didn't... Nothing, okay? Would you like to know what he picked?
Something X-Men.
Close. Storm
Something
and
big?
Ilyana Magic.
What?
Yeah, it's a 4-issue miniseries.
Oh,
Magic.
Storm and Elysiana Rasputin. That magic.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
All right.
And we're going to do number 4. And this is written by Chris Claremont and drawn by Sal Buscema and inked by Tom Palmer.
When did this come out?
1984.
So really, Magic from the New Mutants and Storm
Yes.
were together in a miniseries.
Yes. Isn't that funny?
How did I not know this?
I don't know.
I was Mr. X-Men when like 85, 86, 87, and I never knew this? Wow.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that slipped under my radar. I didn't read it until like only a few years ago.
So what issue did you say we're doing?
Number 4. I just sent you the link.
Okay, and it's only a 4-issue limited series, and we're going to do the final one?
So
All
the
right.
implication is that we'll also read 1 to 3, but you don't have to.
Yeah, I'm not. Sorry. All right, well, I'm looking forward to that. Cousin Brandon, do you think he'll stay awake for the whole episode this time?
We can negotiate starting at an earlier time if it works for you. So,
right.
yeah, we'll figure that out. So there you go. That wraps up another episode of Flea Market Fantasy. You can find all of our episodes at www.comicbooksyndicate.com. Each week we review a different Bronze Age comic. 1 week I pick, 1 week Mike Dell picks. So until next Tuesday, disperse!